Hi everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, and I'm joined with Connor
Hey everyone.
and Matt.
Hey, what's up?
Now, these guys are going to talk about Game of Thrones, Season 6, Episode 7. It's called The Broken Man. Full spoilers for the episode, as always, and obviously, if you're used to the Game of Thrones reviews here, it's usually Matt and Alan. Alan's not here, but instead, Connor's caught up, and he's very sick. Um, so this will be an interesting discussion since
Yeah.
Connor has a very different opinion on this season compared to these two guys who have been agreeing with each other for the last several weeks. So, yeah, take it away, guys.
Alrighty, so I'll take over for Alan since Connor's just a sellsword and is a hired hand. So we're gonna start with the cold open, which is strange because I'm not sure that Game of Thrones has ever started like that. Like you
I think
just gang
I think
watched
it's
a
I think it's
bunch.
done a couple.
Yeah, but not like if it does it, they don't stand out, right? Like it's not
Yeah,
part of the format.
I mean the very first episode was one,
Yeah,
wasn't it? And
yeah.
then I think there's been a couple since then, but yeah.
So But what we see is it comes in on this like little community and they're building what looks like a church or a barn and you see a guy, chopping wood and it's revealed to be our old friend the Hound, Sandor Clegane, who we last saw. He had the crap kicked out of him by Brienne and he was kind of pushed down a ravine. He didn't look so good.
Yeah.
So we got confirmation that he's still around, which we kind of felt in the in between of the seasons, and
Yeah. I mean
it,
Ian McShane kind of gave it away as well a while back.
yeah, and so we finally get to see Ian McShane, who I've been waiting for all season,
Same.
and the part that he gave away is that he said that I'm the guy that brings him back. So I had assumed he was one of the Lord of Light priests,
I think that's what everyone
because
had. Yeah.
but the way that they took it, I enjoyed a lot more. Because he ends up playing a Septon named Ray, which that's like the most normal name we've encountered really here. There's like Jamie and Ray so far,
It's true.
and yeah, and he's like the complete opposite of the High Sparrow. They're of the same religion, but Ray is kind of just like you know down to earth about it. He's not all super preachy.
He's not a dick.
Yeah, that's the key word there. So, he's giving Sandor a bunch of like life lessons, and Sandor's feeling bad about himself over the horrible things he's done in his life, which are like too numerous for even him to count. And he feels like he hasn't been punished for them. And Ray's just kind of like, yeah, well, you have your purpose, and you'll find it, even if it's just here amongst us. So that trails off. So up to the bigger story, we jump up back to the north where Jon Snow and Sansa have ridden to Bear Island, which is probably if I lived in this world where I would be from. It's
I knew
it's
it.
called Bear Island. It's amazing, and they want to meet with the person in charge, and it turns out it's this girl that's probably I think she looked younger than Arya.
She's about 10.
Yeah, and she's surrounded by her council, and she has a maester next to her, and John and Sansa and Davos, who's also there. They're asking for help for the upcoming fight with the Boltons, and so this girl, who's named Lady Lyanna Mormont, who she's like the niece of Jorah, I think, who's off running around with Khaleesi, and I want to say her uncle. Yeah, it's a confusing family thing.
I thought her uncle was
Her uncle
the Night's
was
Watch one.
the Night's Watch guy that gave John his sword.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
he's Jorah's dad.
dad. So they're
So
cousins. Nailed it.
yeah, yeah, there we go.
Nailed it. So you had oh god, what was his name? Jorah's dad. He's a Mormont
He is a.
and Jeor Mormont.
That's it.
And so they go there knowing that John has this family history. Plus, the Mormonts are allegiant with the Starks. They always have been. They're both ancient houses, and even Lyanna's named after Sansa and Jon's aunt. And so they appeal to her, and she's basically like, "Well, why should we help? We helped with Robb, and look where that ended us. And things have, never been worse." But Davos steps in with his, gamemanship that he gave to Stannis and convinces her otherwise. So she commits all the forces she can, which is 62 people,
Got a good
to
chuckle out of that.
yeah the cause of the North.
This was
And
probably my
then
favorite scene in general, I think.
yeah, it was really strong because the actress playing Lyanna Mormont was strong.
Yeah.
Like you felt the power in this little girl.
Yeah, you never doubted that she was in charge for a second,
No,
which is
even
impressive for a 10-year-old.
yeah, even when she's leaning over and talking to the Meister, you kind of just get the point. Like she's already made up her mind, but she's just double checking
Yeah.
to see what the customs are. And I like that, especially when you compare it to Robin in the Vale with Littlefinger and how
Yeah.
much he's just a puppet. This girl's actually running things.
Yeah, we even had, I think it was a few seasons ago, was it Rickon, where he was
Yeah.
doing it back in Winterfell?
Or Bran.
Was it Bran? I can't
Yeah.
remember which one it
Little
was. And he
Lord.
was, yeah, and he was proper bored as shit about it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's when Theon, betrays them.
Yeah, yeah.
They escape with Osha. But yeah, or Asha. All these names, man, they're too similar
Oh,
sometimes.
do you know what's worse is I still get confused because I think that's Osha, but then
Uh-huh.
Theon's sister is Yara,
Yara.
but in the
Yeah.
books she's
Books.
Asha.
That's
So
right.
that's what I know her as, and it's that gets way more confusing.
Yeah. So, things are going pretty well for that group, for the Starks. And so, in continuing their plan to check out these smaller houses, they go to House Glover, who we've never seen before, and they talk about how they really can't go back on the Boltons because the Boltons just help them fight a wildling raid or an Ironborn raid, not a
Ironborn, yeah.
wildling raid. And so they're like, well, they were here. Where were you guys? And then he asks, the Lord Glover asks John, well, who's making up most of your army? And he tells him wildlings. And that just can't do because most of the Northmen hate wildlings. And Sansa tries to step up, but she basically gets slapped down.
She's like, "You're a fucking Bolton."
Yeah. And yeah, which is quite interesting because she's trying to keep the legacy of the Starks, but the Starks name basically is worth dirt anymore.
Yeah.
Since Ned,
What I don't
got
get is they keep.
executed.
I think it was with the girl on Bear Island where she was saying, "Why should we fight for the Starks' names? John's not a Stark, and
Your
Sansa's
Snow.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's not a Stark anymore." But they have Rickon in
Yeah.
Winterfell. Like, why don't they just say, "Well, get us the castle, and you have your Lord Stark."
Right.
I don't quite get why they didn't.
Well,
Just
Rickon, you gotta remember, he's with House Umber right now. And
yeah,
Umber, so they have to get him first, which is making everything harder. And Sansa still has this trump card from Littlefinger, which I'm glad she's not using because we've discussed I hate Littlefinger with every ounce of my
you
being.
say that, but I feel like that might have been who she was writing the letter to at the end.
Uh huh. I definitely think that because when they go to Glover, they can't, there's nothing.
The only
And
other person she could be writing to is the Blackfish.
yeah, which is her uncle, right? But even then, they're walled up, which will take us to there. So it's looking pretty dire for the Starks, and they hole up in their spot, and instead of trying to recruit more houses, she writes that letter Connor was just talking about, and that's where that story ends. But then we go down to the Riverlands, where the phrase, man, they're so inept.
I love the phrase though. I mean,
Yeah,
there's so many of them. They can do shit all.
yeah, they're so terrible. And so Jamie's riding down there with Braun, and it's kind of a wreck. And he's got the entire what's left of the Lannister forces behind him, and it just looks like a shithole. Like the siege is not working, and Jamie asked for a parlay with the Blackfish, who's quickly becoming one of my favorite characters, which doesn't bode well because anytime that happens,
It's about
they're
to
not
die.
around very
Yeah.
long.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so he comes down and basically doesn't give an inch to Jamie. And Jamie's like, hey, man, the war's over. Just, let's end this bloodlessly as possible. And Blackfish is basically like, nah, man, no, this is my house. I was born here. I'm prepared to die here. Are you prepared to die? And that was a fist pump moment, I thought, at least.
It's weird because I feel like you're meant to kind of root for Jamie now anyway. Over the past few years,
Yep.
he's like become a better person.
Yeah.
But obviously in this, he's still in the wrong.
Yeah.
But
Well, he's just following his orders.
Yeah.
He's doing what the king told him to do, and you can tell his heart's not in it.
yeah, he doesn't really
because-
try, does he?
No, and it wouldn't surprise me when Brienne shows up if there's going to be some kind of shenanigans, and they use the Tully forces to overcome the phrase, because no one likes the phrase. The Lannisters didn't like the phrase; they only used it. The Boltons didn't. So just instill another house at that place with the bridges, and there you go. Save a lot of people a lot of time.
It would, wouldn't it? Because
Yeah.
I mean, Walder Frey still doesn't seem to be dying anytime soon.
No. And
I have no
his
idea
sons-
how the fuck he lived so long.
Yeah, just because he holds up in that castle with the rotating bridge,
Yeah.
But and then they have Edmure, who got married at the Red Wedding, and they have him hostage, and they're threatening to kill him. And before the parlay, Blackfish is like, just do it then. Let's get this over with. And of course they're not going to. But
Yeah,
that's
it's
when
like their
Jaime
last
lights up.
bargaining chip.
Yeah.
They can't.
But yeah, it was just a really cool scene. You also had Braun looking worse for the wear because he's just riding along with Jamie.
I feel like
Now-
Bron's kind of become a parody of himself now, though. I mean,
Yeah.
what was the point of him here except to talk about whores and money?
Right.
Like, there's no real benefit to him except to
Mhm.
do Bron-like things.
Yeah. But we'll see. I liked what he said though. He's like, "You promised me all this stuff. Where's the stuff?" Like,
Yeah.
And that's when he goes. And Jamie goes to start the Lannister, fake words of Lannister repays their debts, and Rod's like, "Well, just fuck off." Like, and rides off before he can even say it.
Yeah.
So connecting with that story, from the Riverlands, we go to King's Landing, where the High Sparrow is talking with Marjorie, which her name always throws me when I read it.
Why?
It should be like, because it doesn't look like Marjorie to me. Like, it's Marguerite. Like, it's weird. But basically, that they need an heir. And also, she should convert Grandma, who she's another character I really like, Olenna.
She is good.
Yeah. And basically kind of tilts at her, is like, hey, if you can't convert her, to our side, then, I can't promise she'll be okay when the time comes because, your dad and her led an army,
Yeah.
to go against us. So it's bad news. But Marjorie, so she meets with Grandma, with Olenna, and they're arguing back and forth. And Marjorie is just, yeah, see, it's happening again. She's sticking to her thing where she's, suddenly found in prison the faith, and she's not going to fake her love of the poor like she used to. And Olenna's pleading with her, and Marjorie slips her a note, and she kind of gets the hint. All right, well, fine, I'll leave. And she leaves. Olenna leaves, opens a note, and it's the family crest, the rose.
It makes me happy because
Yes.
I like them two plotting. It's fun.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Marjorie's been a favorite character of mine since she showed up. And usually I don't like people that just use others as stepping stones. But the fact that she went from Renly so quickly,
Yeah, Renly to Joffrey
Yeah.
to Tom.
yeah, because she wants to be queen. Like
Yeah.
that's where that family needs to be. And because the Lannisters have cooked the books, they're actually the most wealthy family there. So it's
Yeah.
fitting that she's in that place. So House Tyrell's doing pretty well. Um, and then Cersei shows up and talks to Olenna and tries to convince her to stay and fight the sparrows. And Olenna's kind of like, yeah, no, this is done. I'm going home.
I thought this was
And
one of the most boring scenes.
yeah, well,
Just
because most of the stuff with Cersei anymore
I'm
is
not entirely sure what the point of her is after her walk of shame.
yeah.
Why is she
Well,
around still? What's she doing?
yeah. So everyone was thinking that the Clegane Bowl is happening, where the brothers are gonna fight each other because she has the mountain or Franken Mountain,
Yeah,
and now the Hound's running around as a new man. But I'm not quite sure where that's going.
yeah.
Right?
I don't
Like,
get why that matters. I mean, why she has to be involved in that?
right.
It's
And so, but she basically says, "Let there be violence," and she wants to take out the sparrows. Uh, and we'll see. We know that she doesn't plan very well, so this will probably blow up in her face like everything else does.
good.
Yeah, good. And then we move across the Narrow Sea to Volantis, where apparently those ships for the Ironborn are that fast because they got there quick. Uh,
Yeah, they did.
right? Like you see the ships taking down the Greyjoy banners on the sails, and you see Theon and Yara enjoying all that Volantis is, and Theon's kind of just like brooding there.
Well, it's pretty awkward because I mean, you're in a whorehouse and you got no cock anymore, and your
Yeah,
sister is getting off with this girl, and you're just there like, well, shit.
and so like I don't know why he just couldn't get up. Right? Like I'll
Yeah,
see you in a few. Like have fun. This ain't my game anymore. Not by choice. you know. But then she gives him a like like if you ever go to therapy, this is not what to do, right? Like she's like either drink this beer or go off yourself. Like I want my brother back. I don't want this mopey guy. Like you're a Greyjoy. Do whatever you can to enjoy.
yeah. It's kind of her version of just going, man, the fuck up.
Yeah, and having the parts doesn't make you a man. Basically, like you're still a Greyjoy. We're gonna do this, and they have all those ships, and we know Daenerys is heading. She wants to head over to the other place, so they're kind of in the right spot.
Yeah, about time that sort of started happening. I feel like the
Also,
Greyjoys in general have been kind of just on
yeah,
their own for
yeah,
too long now.
yes, definitely. So the fact that they can go in, although the type of people the Ironborn are, I don't see that gelling with Daenerys. So we'll see how that works out.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But that's who knows? That's just me looking to the future. And then we go up to Bravos after Yara takes off with her favorite whore, and they go off to do things. And Arya, she manages to bribe someone to head back to Westeros when an old lady comes at her, pulls off and stabs her a couple times, pulls off her face, and it's the waif.
How she didn't see this coming as so like I mean,
Yeah,
oh
you get caught without your weapon. Like that was the whole point of going and retrieving Needle, right?
yeah.
Like, how does she not have it on her at all times?
I don't get it. And I don't get why she didn't suspect, hang on.
Yeah,
I've just been going around in plain view chucking around bags of money.
yeah,
Maybe these people might come after me. I know they can disguise as anyone.
right,
Why would you not be more cautious?
yeah. Well, again, because plot, right?
But it just really undermines her character.
Yeah.
She's been smart for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
and this week she just wasn't.
No. Well, that's because she's getting careless because now she's not. She has a new focus,
Yeah,
right? She's been the fire's been relit of revenge. So, but she manages to get away from the waif, jumps into the river, you know, comes out bleeding profusely. So, she shares the Stark family tradition of getting stabbed multiple times.
she'll be fine. If this
Yeah,
episode taught me one thing, it's if there's no body, they're not dead.
Right. That's right, because all the people that
They're all
we've
back
seen.
this time, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see where that goes. She's, and the thing is now, she's not sure where the attack's going to come from next. Because Bravos is such a crowded city. It's the headquarters of the Faceless Men.
Yeah.
She just should be lucky that it's only the wave coming after her,
Then again, the waif thinks she's dead, so
right?
maybe.
Well,
I mean, no, because she stays and looks over the wall and waits for it to come up, and then she doesn't. So it's like, she must
right,
be dead.
but yeah, I don't. I think we'll see Jakin one more time, and
Yeah,
just because he's got to give her send off and
that's
basically
true.
call off the wave. But I don't think that's gonna end that nicely.
I just, I kind of feel like I'm not entirely sure what the point of this whole story was.
It was just basically that Arya is defined by her revenge, and when she tries to get away from it, you know,
Yeah, but it went on a long time just for that.
well, they're following the books,
They
right?
were, but they've
And,
shown
and
willingness to change other things, and
yeah, I just thought that Arya's a fan favorite, so they're keeping it going. She's received training now, you
that's
know,
true.
so she knows how to get in and out better.
Yeah,
So she spent time in Bravo, so she's not just stuck up in the north or in King's Landing as she would have been
yeah, as long as it
any
pays
other
off, I
way.
suppose.
Yeah. And then we cycle back again to the Riverlands, and Sandor's out cutting wood with his axe. Or before that, I skipped a whole part. Um, Ray, Septon Ray, is giving a sermon to the
Yeah,
people, and these guys ride up and basically ask them if they have any horses. And Ray's like, nah, we're just, building a community based on the faith of the seven. And they tip their hand by saying that the night is dark
yeah,
and full of terror, which pegs them as followers of R'hllor and ties them to the Brotherhood without banners, which is the first time we've seen them pop back up
yeah. I feel like there's
since
been a
Soros.
lot of drop threads,
Yeah.
especially with that sort of that area of time. Like, what's his name? The bastard, Robert's
Sorry,
bastard.
Gendry?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
He
mean,
serves his purpose. I don't think
he
we'll see
did,
him
but
again. He
his
just the
his
King's Blood.
purpose was a tiny bit of King's blood. There was a lot of time spent on him just for that.
Yeah.
I feel
I mean,
like,
he could join up. I mean, my always pet theory was once they figure out how to make Valerian steel, they'll need a good blacksmith, and that was his trade.
that's true.
So maybe that's when he'll show back up, and you'll have a member of each of the major families now by blood trying to take
Mm,
out the White Walkers when the time comes.
that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. But yeah, so Sandor warns Ray about the Brotherhood. They'll come back. Which always, I always thought like the Brotherhood was this populist movement that they didn't want to, the normal people shouldn't have to fight in the Wars of Kings was their whole mission statement that we got early on. So why they would come and raid these people who are just trying to live peacefully, it's kind of counterintuitive.
I mean, we saw them being dicks around the inns, where they had Arya and Gendry, and they just like
Yeah,
sold him off to the Red Woman, and
right.
they were just like taking whatever they wanted from the inns. So they were never good people.
Yeah, but like I get that because they had a purpose. Like this though has no purpose besides just wanton violence and destruction.
Yeah, what did they get out of it? There was nothing there to pillage.
Nothing. And that's what I get. Like at least with Gendry they got a price, right? Like
Yeah,
he served a purpose and with Arya and all that stuff too. And stuff from the end, I'm sure they could trade and sell. They're a rebel army.
yeah,
But this, I mean, other than to get Sandor as a Punisher, like
yeah. It was
so
very petty, wasn't it?
yeah, so we go back to him chopping wood when I jump forward, and Sandor hears a commotion, comes out of the forest, goes to the community, and everybody's been murdered by the Brotherhood. There's arrows everywhere, people down, just everything's destroyed.
Yeah, this is
And
something I
he,
don't get as well. I mean, he was close enough to hear the first scream,
yeah,
yet by the time he gets there, everyone's dead and no one's in sight.
Right. Yeah. So he goes and finds Ray hanging from the church they were building, and he gets real angry, grabs his axe, and marches off. Which that moment made me happy because it cycles around what Ray was telling him, that he is a new man. He was once a broken man, which is where the title comes from. I mean, it also describes Theon. It can describe John, at the end of his rope, and even Arya at her end.
Yeah.
And now, even though he's a bad man, he can do good things. And even if it's just avenging these people, the Hound's back.
I did really like that shot of him picking up the axe, but
Yes.
I mean, this is a weird episode because this season's been breakneck speed for everything.
Yeah.
It's almost been too fast, I think, for a lot of it. Whereas
Yeah.
this was like really slow. Like they had this whole episode and it felt like, it's like the action movie where the family's all dead and he's about to go off but then you don't actually get to see any of that.
No.
Just kind of weird.
Yeah, I would have liked them to see this out through the season. Like if we could have gotten more time with Septon Ray,
Yeah.
and then it would have made even his death that much, more heart wrenching. Because again, he was a member of the faith, just trying to do good, unlike the faith militant who basically are just
But
aiming
it's
for power.
at the same time, it's hard to care about someone who you've had, 3 scenes with,
Yeah,
if that.
and that's it. And without Ian McShane, I don't know if we would care that much.
No,
But
probably wouldn't.
Ian McShane brings it, and
He definitely does.
and I really enjoyed him in this episode. And so I probably have blinders on for that. But we're this was the 7th episode. There's 3 left. We're coming up on the holy shit episode
Yeah.
with 8 or 9. So, and a lot of these plot threads, man. Like I'm appreciative that we didn't get more Khaleesi because I feel her story for the season's kind of done. Like as you said, it was all breakneck speed.
Yeah.
Like her taking out the Dothraki calls and the barbecue and
I
whatnot.
mean, would you, maybe another little bit with the dragons?
I mean, she's got to go back to Marine.
Yeah,
We got to go back to see Tyrion. We haven't seen Tyrion in a little while.
that's true. That's true.
So we'll see. I'm enjoying this season a lot, especially compared to last season.
It's definitely better than last season. I'm not really enjoying it that much. Weirdly, this episode didn't make me angry. So that's a big positive. Last
that's a
week I
plus.
ended up very angry after it.
Okay.
But at the same time, I kind of found it a little bit boring for about half the episode. There was a lot of just not anything really going on. Like Jamie and Bronn, like it should be fun, but because Bronn just feels like it's just Bronn saying Bronn things. It's just not exciting anymore. It's just there.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm really invested in the North storyline, so I'm glad that moved forward. I really loved all those scenes.
Yeah, like I said, that one on Bear Island was definitely the standout scene.
So, but like the King's Landing stuff, I'm kind of over now. Like, I want to know what happens with Loras. But pretty sure this ends with him, not making it out and being reincarnated in Kunlun. So,
Yeah,
fine.
but I'm kind of past caring as well. We haven't seen him in so long
No.
that I just don't care anymore.
Right? So there's all that. But no, I would say a pretty good episode. I mean, the Hound stuff and the North stuff put it over for me. So, really enjoyable episode, I thought.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
So,
Well, I guess the voice of God shall have to come back in and end this.
I guess so. I mean, when my mom told me to hear voices, she said go to see a doctor, but I think I'll let this one right out.
Yeah, that's cool. Alright, so that's Game of Thrones for this week. Of course, let us know what you thought of the episode in the comments below. And like and subscribe, all that jazz. It helps us out a lot. Thanks for watching, guys. We will see you next time.